Marissa, I'm going to turn it back to you. What are some things that donors should think about where maybe this year won't be, a double digit year for their portfolio the way that it was in 2023. How can folks who are philanthropically inclined still continue to support the causes that they care about, even when maybe the balances in their portfolios aren't where they'd like them to be?
Yeah, well, that's a perfect segue to our next topic. So, device funds and some non-traditional assets. Those are the things we'd love to talk about next. So, I think when there's a lot of great stats here, and I'll touch on some of them that I think are really surprising and supportive to impact focused organizations. But just using donor advised funds when you're not quite sure where you'd like to put your charitable dollars, it's a great place to park them. We know that obviously starting your own donor advised fund is an option. We also know that there's quite a substantial amount of donor advised funds with community foundations. But just starting with where have donor advised funds grown? What trends have we seen in this type of charitable vehicle? And then we'll talk a little bit about how we're seeing organizations use them. So I think, the standout stat on the top right here, since 2018, we've seen the quantity of donor advised accounts go almost double. So just substantial growth. A lot of philanthropists are choosing this as a great strategy to say, let's give to this year, and I have some time to think through it over the next few years. Or if I've given in the past, I'd like to use my donor advised fund as opposed to giving, keeping the giving kind of off of my own balance sheet. I think another point to call out here that I think is really astounding, the yellow box on the right. Donor advised funds pay out 20%. So if you think about foundations as a structure and foundations who are supporting grantee organizations, typically they give right around their 5% minimum required distribution. So donor advised funds are actually blowing them away and giving really substantially to organizations. So a lot of generosity there. I think that's really important because you'll sometimes hear some confusion and a little wariness from grantee organizations who are saying, funds are sitting in donor advised funds. We're not seeing as much from certain donors. They're parking those funds in donor advised funds. And I think what we actually see through the trends is that there's quite a bit of generosity coming out of donor advised funds. The last point I'll make here, and then we can get into the next slide, is just that 12 billion in grants are being made from community foundation DAFs. So again, a lot of substantial giving there. But Jason can help you talk through if this is a strategy you're interested in. He helps a lot of donor advised funds, other philanthropists who are considering donor advised funds.
Thanks so much, Marissa. I'd say two key takeaways. First, just on the donor advised funds, Florence and I were actually in the room here talking about this a little bit earlier. This is an incredibly powerful tool because one of the things that came out in our values exercise that came up for a number of donors is the importance of tax benefits, right? When they're thinking about giving. Setting up a donor advised fund is really a way to get the tax benefit of giving now, and then make those gifts not necessarily in the same year. You can do it over multiple years. So maybe you sold some appreciated stock earlier in the year. Maybe you had a big windfall from your business or from an asset that you own. Donor advised funds give you the opportunity to offset that and then take the time to tie into a conversation that Scott and I had, to take the time to identify which causes you do want to support, and maybe do something more intentional like a planned gift or structured gift. But you've already created that pool of charitable capital and gotten the tax benefit in the first year. So disintermediating that I want to give from where do I give, but getting those benefits right away. That's really helped a lot of the clients that we work with to be more ambitious about their charitable endeavors than they may have considered.